Now let's talk about the Indian economy. This is budget week in India. The government will present the annual budget, the last one ahead of the general election, and no big announcements are expected because this will be an interim budget, a temporary financial plan to keep things going until the election is over and the new government takes oath. But that hasn't stopped New Delhi from sending a few signals and setting some ambitious targets. In the next 3 years, India aims to become the world's third largest economy with a GDP of $5 trillion. By 2030, India plans to add another $2 trillion to its GDP. So the goal is to reach $7 trillion in 7 years. Like I said, this is an ambitious target, also a sign of confidence. It shows that the current leadership has faith in its handling of the economy, and they expect to continue steering the ship in the foreseeable future. Now, confidence is a good thing, but are these targets realistic? We say they are. Look at India's growth trajectory, the projections for 2024. The Central Bank of India has given an estimate. It believes India will grow at 7%. The Finance Ministry says they will beat this target, meaning they're aiming for more than 7% growth this year. Similarly, for 2025, the Finance Ministry has released a report. It says India will maintain a 7% growth rate in 2025 as well. And if India can sustain this momentum, it can achieve the targets it has set itself. But that is not to say that there are no challenges. In its report, the Finance Ministry has identified 3 trends that could define the future and shape India's economy, that also happen to pose challenges. So what are these trends/challenges? Number 1, deglobalization. 2, artificial intelligence. And 3, energy transition. Let's start with deglobalization. What does it even mean? It's the opposite of globalization, basically a world that is less interconnected. The idea is to diversify supply chains and reduce dependence and linkages to certain countries. It's happening as we speak, but it's a slow process. Supply chain alternatives would not emerge overnight. They will take time to shape up. India believes that there is no immediate risk on this front, but going forward, the push for alternatives will be more aggressive. Governments and companies will explore newer and better options. Broadly, they have 2 considerations: low cost and high quality. And why is this trend a challenge for India? It should ideally be an opportunity, a chance to attract global businesses, to reorient supply chains away from China and towards India. And it is a fact that India is the best place to challenge the China model, but here is another fact. This is a highly competitive space, and India is not the only player. There's Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, even Mexico. They're all vying for the same market, competing for a bigger piece of the same pie. And that's where India's challenge lies. In order to win the best deals and remain an attractive choice, India will have to remain competitive. And how do you do that? The Finance Ministry has offered a prescription. It says India will have to invest towards lowering the cost of logistics and improving production to build better quality products. So it can be done, but this is the first challenge. The second challenge/trend is artificial intelligence. It is upon us, and it's changing our lives, whether we like it or not. Many companies are adopting AI, investments in AI are growing, and job descriptions are changing overnight. India senses a risk here, because the service sector is a major contributor to the Indian economy. In 2019, services made up more than half of India's GDP. And India is world famous for its IT services, among others. It commands a 10% share in the global market. The rise of AI puts this position at risk. India believes that AI poses a challenge to job creation and that it will slow down the services trend. That's what the report says. The third challenge or trend is energy transition. As global temperatures rise, the pressure on India is also rising. The pressure to move away from fossil fuels and to green energy. Now, this transition will help all of us in the long run, but in the short term, it will hurt growth. It will slow you down. What India needs to do is strike a balance between its growth needs and its environmental obligations. So these are the 3 big challenges: supply chain diversification, artificial intelligence, and green energy transition. This is what India's policymakers are working on. Will Thursday's budget set the foundation to solve these problems? I'm afraid we'll be able to tell you only on Thursday. That's budget day. So watch this space for updates.